All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are taking a deep dive into Alice Feeney's Beautiful Ugly. It's a psychological thriller that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, and we're going to try to give you a taste of what's in store. Without any major spoilers, of course, but you've been warned. You're probably going to want to grab a copy as soon as we're done.
Absolutely. And what better way to kick things off than with our main character, Grady. He's the successful author, but he's struggling. With his wife's disappearance. It happened a year before, and to make matters worse, it was the same day his latest novel hit the New York Times bestseller list.
Oh, wow. Talk about a bittersweet moment, right? Like you can practically feel the tension, this huge career achievement, but at the same time, this overwhelming grief and loss.
Yeah, totally. And it doesn't help that Grady's pretty much isolated. He spends most of his time with his dog, actually. There's even a line in the book where he says he prefers fictional characters to real people.
Ouch. Yeah, that's got to sting a bit. But I can kind of see where he's coming from. He's lost his muse, his first reader, the one person he really confided in.
Exactly. He's carrying around a lot of emotional baggage. It's clear that Abby's absence has left a massive hole in his life. So what does he do? He decides to escape the city, head to this remote island called Amberley, to try and find some solace, and hopefully some inspiration, too.
Which, from the book's cover, looks absolutely idyllic. But if Alice Feeney has taught us anything, it's that things are never quite what they seem.
Oh, absolutely not. Amberley is shaped like a broken heart. It has no internet or mobile signal. And the ferry that takes you there, well, it runs on its own quirky schedule. And then there are the island's inhabitants. Let's just say they're a unique bunch.
Definitely some interesting characters. But Grady doesn't really have time to process all of that, because he makes a pretty disturbing discovery in his rented cabin.
You mean those human bones hidden under the floorboards? Yeah, that's not exactly the peaceful getaway he was hoping for.
I know, right? And to make things even creepier, they mysteriously vanish. Talk about unsettling.
Totally. It really sets the stage for this sense of mystery and unease that runs through the whole story.
Speaking of mysteries, we can't forget about Abby's disappearance. It's like she vanished into thin air, leaving Grady with so many unanswered questions.
Right, and there are these conflicting accounts of a woman in a red coat who may or may not have been involved. And then there were those old newspaper clippings Grady finds.
Hold on, those clippings were one of the things that really hooked me. They were articles written by Abby about injustices, and they seem to tie into the island's history in a way that Grady doesn't quite understand at first.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those details that makes you think, okay, there's something more going on here. And then there's this organization called the Isle of Amberley Trust, which at first seems like this harmless group, dedicated to preserving the island's heritage.
But there's always more to the story, especially with Alice Feeney at the helm.
Oh, absolutely. This is where things start to get really interesting. Because as Grady digs deeper, he uncovers some pretty shocking secrets about the island and its people. Like, did you know that the island is populated entirely by women?
Wait, what? No men allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Right. It turns out they were banished years ago, after this tragic incident known as the Children of the Mist. It's a dark chapter in the island's history that has shaped its culture and traditions in some pretty profound ways. And it's like the island itself is shrouded in mystery. You can't help but wonder if it's connected to Abby's disappearance.
Right, and that's what keeps you turning the pages, trying to figure out if Abby just ran off or if something more sinister happened.
And as Grady's investigating, he starts to feel like he's being watched, like someone's trying to lead him down a certain path. It's classic Feeney. She loves to play with perception and make you question what's real and what's not.
You're right there with Grady, feeling that paranoia and unease, constantly second-guessing yourself, wondering who you can trust.
Exactly. And then there's Kitty, Grady's agent. She seems supportive at first, but there's something about her that just feels off.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. She's one of those characters you just can't pin down. Is she genuinely trying to help Grady? Or does she have her own agenda?
That's the million-dollar question. As the story unfolds, you start to see these subtle hints that she's not being entirely truthful with Grady. She seems to know more than she's letting on. And it makes you wonder if she's somehow connected to the events on Amberley.
It's like she's pulling strings in the background.
Yeah.
Manipulating Grady's life without him even realizing it. And you just know whatever her motives are, they can't be good.
And just when you think you're starting to get a handle on things, Feeney throws in another curveball. Remember those newspaper clippings Grady found? Well, it turns out there's a woman on the island who looks exactly like the woman Abby helped exonerate years ago.
Wait, seriously, so there's a chance that Abby's somehow connected to this island and its dark past. Okay, now I need to know what happens next.
It's one of those moments where you have to stop and think, did that just happen? And then you frantically flip back through the pages, trying to see if you missed any clues.
Feeney is the queen of weaving together these seemingly unrelated details into this intricate tapestry of suspense. You never know what's going to be important until it smacks you right in the face.
And speaking of smacks in the face, let's talk about the Isle of Amberley Trust. As Grady investigates further, he learns about the tragic event that led to the banishment of men from the island.
You mean the Children of the Mist incident?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty heartbreaking chapter in the island's history. 13 children drowned in a cave. And the women blamed the men for not protecting them.
It's a turning point for the island, and it raises some really interesting questions about gender roles, power dynamics, and the ways in which communities cope with trauma.
It makes you wonder, are these women justified in their actions? Are they creating a safe haven for themselves? Or is there something more sinister at play?
Exactly, and that's what makes this book so thought-provoking. It's not just a thriller, it's a story that delves into these complex issues. Gender justice, the long-lasting effects of trauma.
And just when you think you're starting to understand the island and its people, Feeney throws in another twist. Grady encounters a woman who looks and sounds exactly like Abby.
Oh, I remember that part. My jaw literally dropped. It's one of those moments where you have to put the book down and take a breath. Is it really Abby? Is she suffering from amnesia? Or is Grady's grief playing tricks on him?
Seriously, it makes you question everything you thought you knew. And just when you're trying to wrap your head around that, Kitty shows up on the island.
Yeah.
And it becomes clear that she's been orchestrating events all along.
Right. And you find out she has this deep personal connection to Amberley, and that she's been using Grady to get her revenge.
And her plan is so intricate and well executed, it's almost like she's been playing chess with Grady's life.
Yeah.
Moving him into position without him ever realizing it. It's mind-blowing how she manages to manipulate everyone around her.
Yeah.
You start to wonder if anyone on this island is who they say they are.
Yeah, it really shows Feeney's skill as a writer. She creates this atmosphere of paranoia and distrust that just seeps into every part of the story. You're constantly questioning your own perceptions, just like Grady.
And as the truth unravels, you realize that everyone has secrets. Everyone has motives. And those motives are often tangled up in the island's dark past.
What's fascinating is how Feeney uses the setting of Amberley to mirror the character's internal struggles. The island's isolated, cut off from the mainland, and it represents the character's inability to escape their past.
It's like the island itself is a character, holding on to these secrets and refusing to let them go. And Grady, by coming to Amberley, has stumbled right into the heart of it all.
Right, and he's forced to confront not only the secrets of the island, but also his own secrets, his own buried pain and guilt.
And that's where Feeney really excels, in exploring the psychological depths of her characters. She doesn't shy away from the darkness, the messiness of human emotion. She shows us how grief, guilt, and the desire for revenge can twist even the most well-intentioned people.
And the way she uses those newspaper clippings, those stories of injustice that Abby uncovered, to tie it all together, it's brilliant. It shows how the past can haunt the present, how the choices we make can have ripple effects that we never anticipate.
It's like a spider web, with all these threads connecting the characters and their actions. And at the center of it all is Abby's disappearance.
And just when you think you've figured it all out, Feeney throws in that final twist, that revelation that leaves you reeling. I won't spoil it for our listeners, but let's just say it involves a shocking discovery about Abby. And a final confrontation that'll leave you breathless.
Seriously, my jaw hit the floor. It's one of those endings that makes you want to immediately flip back to the beginning and start reading again just to see how all the pieces fit together.
And that's the beauty of Feeney's writing. She plants these clues throughout the story, these subtle hints and foreshadowing, and when you finally reach the end, it all clicks into place. You're left with this sense of awe at how she managed to pull it off.
It's like solving a puzzle. But the puzzle is a twisted psychological thriller that has you questioning everything you thought you knew about the characters and their motivations.
So to wrap things up, if you're looking for a book that will keep you up all night, with twists and turns that will leave you gasping for air, then you need to check out Beautiful Ugly.
Feeney's writing is captivating. Her characters are complex and compelling, and the ending will leave you stunned. Trust us, you won't be disappointed.
And for those of you who want to delve deeper into the world of Beautiful Ugly, be sure to check the show notes for a link to buy the book.
And don't forget to share your thoughts with us on social media. We'd love to hear your theories about the ending and what stood out to you the most. Until next time, happy reading.